So today I want to talk power stations, and there's many different types of power stations. So I wanted to break some of this stuff down for you and show you some of my power stations and how you can make your own. So I have just put a few of the power stations I have laying around the house. This is an older 2000 watt power station. It's got a 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter in it. So that basically makes it a 2000 watt power station. You have something like this. This is a 600 watt power station. Now this one though is very unique because it has two batteries in the back and it allows you to pull the batteries out and swap them with charged batteries while it's still running. Then I could charge that somewhere else, outside, solar panel, whatever. This one is what I would consider a little newer, kind of like this right here. That one's an older style that, I don't know, 8 years old or so, which is ancient really when it comes to power stations, but it still works fine, no problems. But what I wanted to focus on in this video is what makes a power station a power station? Do you need to go out and buy one of these fancy power stations that has all of these different bells and whistles? Maybe, but maybe you don't need any of that. Maybe you just need a real basic power station that you can easily put together by yourself. So you really just have three parts in a power station. They're main components. You have a way to store the power, then you would have a way to get power in, and then you'd have a way to get power out. That's it. That's really all you need. But let's talk about the different pieces of getting power in, storing it, and getting it out. This right here could be an extremely basic power station. You have a battery charger that can handle the type of batteries that are going to store your power, and then getting your power out. So you might not need AC power. You might be completely fine with DC power at the same voltage as your battery. So you might just need some alligator clips, with an accessory port. The complicated part gets when you're adding on more and more features. So now we're looking at adding more features. So instead of just needing DC power, using this set of alligator clips and pulling them out of the battery, maybe you need AC power. This would be running normal household appliances that you would plug into your wall. This will provide 110, 120 volts of pure sine wave AC power. You can get these in modified sine wave or pure sine wave. I'm basically just buying pure sine wave from now on. I don't really mess with any of the old modified sine wave. And then here, you might not want to charge your batteries off of AC power. You might not have AC power. Well, why not a solar panel? That's basically a battery charger there. You're harnessing the power of the sun, turning that into electricity. Run that through like an MPPT controller like this. Hook that to your battery. Now you're charging your battery. But it's all about getting power in, storing it, and then taking it out. So now that we've talked about the three basic components of getting power in, storing it, and taking it out, now you really have to think about what you need. Like this right here is a 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter. So it's going to take your 12 volt DC power and convert it to up to 1500 watts of pure sine wave AC power. The real thing you got to think of at this point is, will one of these batteries truly power that 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter for whatever you're using it for? And that's where math is going to come in, because you're going to have to figure out what the specs of this battery are versus what the specs of this inverter are. Most 12.8 volt, 100 amp hour batteries in this kind of format here. This is a lifetime battery. This is one of my favorites. This battery is good for a constant 100 amps of power at 12.8 volts, which is its average output power. But that means you're going to get 1,280 watts of continuous power out of this based on those specs. Sure, it can surge a little bit and you can definitely go under, but one of these batteries isn't going to provide you 1,500 watts of continuous power, which is what this is rated at. So if I was going to match this to some 12.8 volt, 100 amp hour batteries, I would do two. And I would run these in parallel, so that way I can provide up to 200 amps, which then would be 1,280 times 2, which then now you'd have more than enough power to max out this inverter, plus you're adding capacity. Now you've got double the amount of power. And that goes the same way for input. These batteries are rated in a specific way on how they want to be charged. So just like you can pull power out of these up to a certain point, you can only put power back into them up to a certain point. Most batteries want to be charged at 0.2 C, which is 0.2 of the capacity of that battery. So since this is a 100 amp hour battery, it would want to be charged at about 20 amps continuously going in. Can they charge faster? Yes, a lot of these can go, I think, up to 100 of amps going in, but you're going to reduce the lifespan of the battery. So 0.2C is supposedly the sweet spot. I think that's going in and out. So you would only want to charge one of these batteries at about 20 amps. Maybe you don't care about that. Maybe you want to go up to 50 amps. If you have two of these batteries and you're charging them both at the same time, now you can put in 40 amps of power. So it's really just doing the math of what's going in and what's going out. Same thing with solar panels. If you want to know how many watts of solar that you need to get to charge your battery bank, well, it's the same concept. 0.2C would be 20 amps. You'd be looking at about 250 watts of input power to each one of these. Now, a solar panel, they don't usually get all the way up. I think this is a 110 watt solar panel. On a normal regular day, you're probably good at around 80 or so. If that's a good shiny day, sure, you can get up to its max, but they're usually rated at a max that they're going to get in really good sun. But that's pretty much it. There's a very simple algorithm when it comes to figuring out amps versus volts versus watts. And that's basically your voltage times your amperage equals your wattage. So volts times amps equals watts. You can flip those numbers around, divide them, do whatever you want to do, but that's basically how you'll determine all of this. And you just read the specs. Then once you've got it all laid out and everything that you want, you might want to get fancy and get you a tool storage or some storage box and mount it all in there and drill the holes and get everything lined up. That's basically what a power station is. It's a box that looks pretty. It's got all the components that you need in it and easily accessible. But if I just want to run some lights maybe on a shed or something that doesn't have power, I don't want to go spend a lot of money on a fancy power station when I can just get me a solar panel, a battery, and then set up whatever I need to run those lights. If they're 12-volt lights, straight to the battery. If they need AC power, inverter. But getting a real nice fancy power station to do that, that would just be spending extra money. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's all you want because maybe it's not dedicated. Maybe you just want to bring it in, use it for a little bit. I do that all the time. I'll have a power station with me. I'll use it for what I need it, and then I'll take it with me. So convenience has a value. But the point of this video was really just to break it down, make everything easily understandable, let you know some basics on what you got to do to figure out what you need. But like I said, that's just a little bit of math and understanding the specs of what you're dealing with. So if you have a 100-watt light bulb that's AC and all you need to do is power a 100-watt light bulb, well, you might need an inverter that puts out 100 watts and then a battery that can handle it and then a way to charge it. That's it. Anyways, if you have anything to add, please put it down in the comments. I hope this information was helpful, and thank you very much for watching. Y'all take care.